So, Gwilym, what podcast number is this? 7?
7 million.
7 million. Feels like it, doesn't it? Are you flagging?
No, I'm not. I'm really excited. And I really want to talk about something new with you because we have exhausted almost anything. So I've got something.
Oh, go on then. I'm worried. I'm terrified.
Geography, we've talked about food, we've talked about people, we've talked about convention centres, we've kind of covered everything. Tell me something about you that I don't know, Lee.
Oh, wow.
I feel like after 121 episodes,
I
must know a lot, but there's got to be something I don't know.
Something you don't know about me? I've probably told you all the things that I would normally use at this point. I'm pretty sure I've told you.
Well, I'll tell you, let me give you a positive summary of you in that case.
Go on then.
Plumber.
Yeah.
Or what's that posh word you came up with, the posh phrase for it?
Mechanical services engineer.
Mechanical services engineer. Then plumbing trade association.
Yeah.
Then educationalist.
Yeah.
An educational trade association. I can't remember if you did that as well.
Yeah, professional body, yeah, for the church professional body.
SEPA,
yeah.
Band member, you in the band?
I was in a band, I was a singer. I've got no musical ability whatsoever, but I used to be able to sing a little bit.
Fisherman.
It's
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh, honorary secretary.
Yeah, I am an honorary secretary.
Is there anything else?
Squash player.
I know squash. You had a nice old car you got pinched or driven into or something.
Yeah.
How's that? What happened to that? Is that still? Did you get it back or is it gone?
What, my car?
The old Rover. Didn't you have an old Rover?
Jag.
The old Jag.
Yeah, Jag got rid of outside the house. No, I didn't get it back. It's a terminal state of disrepair, I'm afraid.
Sorry.
No, I'm struggling, mate. I'm really struggling. There's got to be something. I've told you my Morrissey story, haven't I?
Is that to do with the lift?
No, it's to do with him telling me to give up because I couldn't sing, which is a bit sort of ironic coming from Morrissey.
Yeah. Okay. That's everything then.
That's everything, yeah.
Lee Davis and Gwilym Roberts are the two IPs in a pod, and you are listening to a podcast on intellectual property, brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Patent Attorneys.
We've got a guest here. Should we get the guest on? Yes. Chris, introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm Chris. I'm the founder and CEO of Solve Intelligence.
Cool. Can we ask something about your name? Are you the son of a Parsonson? Why are there two sons there?
That's a good question. There's no sort of family law that we know of that explains why. But
really?
Presumably at some point there was a Parson who had a son.
It's quite funny though. We don't Parsons and son grandchildren.
You could just keep adding them, couldn't you?
You could, yeah.
For the generations, your Parsonson.
You could start putting them in brackets and put an exponent as well to, Parson Square.
Great mathematics. I like that.
So, what do you do?
So, Solve Intelligence, we build AI software to help patent attorneys draft and review patent applications.
Cool. Which is something we're really, really interested in, but also a bit scared about. Isn't it true, Gwilym? We're not scared, nervous about what it means for the future.
We embrace the challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're scared.
So we're hoping that you will alleviate our fears and tell us that the future's going to be an amazing place where patent attorneys still exist, but they're just working smarter and...
Exactly right. I mean, we're at the INTA conference and we've had a lot of people coming up to ask us similar kinds of things. Are you taking our jobs and so on? And it's absolutely not the case. AI is not capable of, just clicking a button, drafting a patent application. As patent attorneys know, there's so many things that go into drafting patent applications. Things like thinking about how broad or narrow the scope of the claims need to be, what kinds of things you should be patenting, all these kinds of strategic questions. And then obviously just the way in which you craft those claims, you need a legal expert to be fully in control. So the solution that we've built is very much an AI assistant that helps legal professionals with the drafting process. But very importantly, the legal professional is always in the driving seat every step of the way.
And is it... we've learned a bit about AI as we've gone along with them, haven't we? Because we've had a couple of podcasts where we've touched on it. And when we were looking at ChatGPT, we understood that's connected to the kind of real world internet kind of thing, isn't it? So if you're putting data into it, that data is kind of there for others to mine. And so how is your system, does it stand alone? Does it exist outside of the kind of the internet? I may not even be asking the right questions.
Yeah, so the important thing to understand is that there's two states of these machine learning models, these neural networks. Training and inference.
Right.
So during the training state, that's when you're giving these models data and they're learning to optimize some objective function, which for the case of large language models is basically predicting what's the next token, what's the next word in this sequence of words. So you give it all this training data, it learns and analyzes on that training data. And that's why over time, if you were to give it, for example, an invention of a time machine, let's say, and AI trains on that data, it then learns more about your invention for a time machine. So someone else can come back to that same large language model that's been trained on your invention and then reverse engineer that invention.
Yeah.
So you never want to put confidential information into a model which is being trained, which someone else is going to have access to.
Gotcha.
The state of inference is when you take a trained model all of the weights of that model have been frozen, so it's no longer being updated with respect to new information. It's simply doing what's called just a forward pass through the neural network, which is just some matrix multiplication. So there's no memory inside the neural network, none of it's being updated. It's not learning on any of your information. So anything that you put in is not being retained. The output gets straight back to you.
It doesn't live anywhere.
It doesn't live anywhere, exactly. Right. So you're not disclosing any of that information if that model is in a state of inference.
Right.
And so that's the key thing to understand.
I think I understand.
So if you go into ChatGPT, for example, and you upload some information, that gets used by OpenAI for training data. If you go into our product, none of the data is ever used for training any AI model of any sort.
And where does your product live? Does it live with your client's kind of infrastructure? Does it live in your infrastructure?
So it can do. We can deploy, local instances of the product, and that could be hosted by the client or by us. But by default, it lives in the cloud, so it lives on enterprise AWS servers. But of course, all that data is encrypted. It's all sandboxed. Only the user can access that data. So even we at Solve Intelligence can't view or access or monitor that. No third-party computer. It's just sandboxed to the user.
Yeah.
Good set of questions.
Go for it.
I've done some AI stuff for medical image, so training inference and all that, and I can't remember what it did. It was quite clever. But so hang on. So it trains. You said there was there's no sharing of training data. So when you get your product, you have to train it yourself. How does that work? Or
So, well, there's a couple of things. So you can do what's called, fine-tuning of these large language models, in which case you can get your own instance of the model, and that's now customized to you. It's been trained. No one else gets access to that model, and you can access it. The second way, you can still customize these models in a way in which you want, but rather than through training, you can do it through essentially prompting, like loading in these sorts of custom prompts that you've built up over time, and then readapting the kind of underlying algorithms and so on that are operating, such that then you can get the AI without any training being adapted to different styles of drafting for different jurisdictions, different clients you might be working with.
Different languages?
Different languages as well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so in our product, for instance, you can translate entire documents in minutes, 200-page documents to 109 different languages.
Wow.
And not just language translation, by the way. You can also translate the style of the documents. You can take a USPTO set of claims, and then you can translate it into a European set of claims using multiple dependent claims, including reference numerals and so on.
So I can see how that helps.
Oh, I hate doing reference numerals. Any machine that'll do that, I'll take. There's like an AI engine sitting here. Is that proprietary? Is it something? Where'd you get it from?
Yeah, so we use a mix of models. So some of them are proprietary, and the key thing to understand is that the whole drafting process is split up into all these subtasks. And for these subtasks, you benefit from different types of models. Some of which require larger context length, some of which you need more customization, some of which you want more general capabilities. So we use some of our own models, and we also use third-party provider OpenAI. So OpenAI is our third-party provider, but very importantly, we have a zero data retention agreement, so none of that data gets either stored by OpenAI or any third party or used for training any AI model of any sort. So yeah, security and confidentiality with these things are the number one priority. We take it very seriously.
I can tell you very live to that, and that'll be because of feedback, I'm sure, from everybody picking up the concerns that you mentioned. I know that one of the objections to it is, again, well, hang on, they're putting confidential information in, it's going to go out to Google, whatever, not the company, the browser, and so on. So. That's interesting how that works. I was actually going to ask about your technical background as well, because are you a coding guy or?
Yeah, so my background, I did a PhD in AI, and then towards the end of that, we started hacking away on a side project, myself, my brother, and my friend Sanj.
Is that legal hacking? Let's not do something.
No, so hacking, not as in like hacking systems, but more sort of building stuff for fun on the side. And so got interested in applying AI for patents, and we've been working on that ever since last year.
Why patents?
Good question. Well, there's two main driving factors. So, my background, come from a technical background, worked in research in big tech companies, same with my co-founders. So we'd experienced the patenting process, but from the inventor's perspective. So aware of some of the time and cost pain points. That was one driving factor. Second driving factor is that my girlfriend's actually a patent attorney in the UK.
Shout them out.
Yasmin, yeah. So she works at Stratagen, firm in Cambridge. So aware behind the scenes there wasn't a huge amount of technology being used. So when we had the step change in the performance of large language models, we all got very interested in how can we apply that to problems that previously weren't solvable. And for those two reasons, patents, we've been building solutions for patents ever since.
Yeah, it is interesting. There's a lot of publicly available training data if you wanted as well. I mean, can you not just rinse Google patents?
Yeah, because of course the thing about patents is they're all publicly available, so you can use them. But of course, the problem with that is if you take a model, one of these foundational models, and you train them on all of the publicly available patents, those of course have mixed quality. Some of those patents won't all be great.
Yeah.
They'll have lots
Just
of.
two Kilburn and Strode ones. I know. I never give us a plug. Just two Kilburn and Strode ones. We go.
Exactly. So you have to do some kind of filtering process there. Also, you need to be able to strip out different jurisdictions, different drafting styles. So you still need to have all of these, not just specialized for patents, but also to the high quality patents, and then for different styles to let the users kind of configure for their different preferences.
That's very interesting, actually. As an aside, I've always thought that all human scientific knowledge from the last 130 years is online and searchable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then we're always being trained that that's part of the reason for the patent system, but nobody ever does it. No one uses it for that.
Yeah.
No one uses it to learn stuff. They use it to check out what the competition's after and everything.
Yeah, we used to have these, Shannon, Shanks and I were talking about sort of the idea of having an invention machine, because of course if you take the idea of a patent, literally it's defining what's novel and non-obvious over the prior art at that particular point. And so you can take all that data, get the AI model to start predicting, okay, what's the next novel and non-obvious step?
Yeah.
Can you get it to start helping you with that? It's kind of nuts. I mean, not
So
today's
you're not
models,
just going to get rid of patent attorneys, you're going to get rid of inventors.
No, I don't think so.
Did you
but-
follow the Dabu's case out of interest?
Which is that, sorry?
The AI is invented case.
Yeah, we have a big article on our website, actually. One of our customers, American patent agency, awesome firm, Stephen from there, the COO there, he wrote a 10,000 word report, which is now on our website, kind of looking at the question of AI inventorship across all the 5 major jurisdictions.
So the law on that was all about whether it's possible for someone who's not a person, to be an inventor. It's nothing to do with whether someone who's not a person can invent. It's just that legally that's the case. A lot of the judgments said explicitly this is not a judgment about whether AI is capable of inventing. It's just whether the system does it. What do you think? Because I've heard 2 very strong points of view. One is that AI absolutely can't, and one is that, of course it can.
Yeah.
What do you think happened?
So AI can't be an inventor in the sense that you can't have it coming up with the core inventive step, or coming up with out of the blue a kind of independent claim in your patent or dependent claim and so on. But what you can do is you can use AI. The jurisdictions have all been clear about this. You can use AI both in the invention process. When you're kind of looking, you've got this initial core idea for an invention. You can use AI to help you start analyzing and building out that what we call the invention disclosure. And then you can also use it when you're helping you draft claims. So it can assist with that process. But the key point is that the AI can't come up with the core novel concepts. So that goes into how do you build these kinds of systems? How do they get used and so on?
Yeah, that's not just about your product. That's the general. That's out of interest. That's the general statement. Your views. That's good. Thank you, because we hear lots about it. But people with PhDs in AI, I'm going to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, I would say one thing is that you can't extract AI from the inventive process. Now, I don't know a single R&D person who's not using AI on a daily basis. So, it's out there now. It's being used, and so the question is, how does it get treated?
But it's a tool. It's not the inventor in that sense. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a risk of always sort of anthropomorphizing these things, and it is very much just a tool, and it's a sort of a tool that assists with that sort of process.
Funny enough, we've been podcasting a lot, and we've just done one where we spent a lot of time talking about entrepreneurialism, and in fact, thank you. I said it right.
Thank you.
Entrepreneurialism, and how there's basically courses on it over here in the States and so on. It's a really interesting session, actually. She was a lecturer, professor on the course. You're an entrepreneur. How come? What happened? It's very un-British.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. But yeah, I mean, me and my brother Angus, ever since I remember, we've always been wanting to do a startup. But I remember watching the film The Social Network back in the day, which is about Mark Zuckerberg. That was kind of a cool experience. We've always been building side projects on the side, always had the ambition of wanting to do a startup. And so this is just the idea that took off. But we had, lots of other things we worked on before. So, yeah.
So how long have you been working on it?
So, I mean, we started probably the first line of code was written as a, like I said, side project back in January 2023, approximately, and then started doing it. And then over the next few months, started picking up momentum, properly decided in April that we were going to, do this full time. And I was wrapping up my PhD then. And then a week after we decided that, we applied to Y Combinator, which is this accelerator program in San Francisco. And then from there, basically since May 2023, doing it full time.
Is that for funding?
Y Combinator is an accelerator program. So they give you funding, about $500,000. But the key thing is that you get into the program, go to San Francisco for 3 months. So last summer we were in San Francisco, and they just give you a tremendous amount of resources. Our main group partner was Tom Blomfield, who's British. He founded Monzo and Go Cardless, two unicorns. So incredible kind of person to be able to draw experience from and so on. And
so you're a year into kind of, not necessarily trading, but you're a year into the gig, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's What's been the reception?
I mean, it's been great.
Yeah.
Legal tech traditionally has not been a very sort of sexy area to go into. It's been difficult to crack the market, and I think, there's a couple of reasons for that. The technology just hasn't been at the point where it can meaningfully help with a lot of these complex tasks. Patent attorney, there's been some useful sort of rule-based type software systems that can, for patents, can do things like antecedent basis issue checks and so on. But they're not really helping with the, getting that sort of beyond the 5-10% efficiency gains. And we're now seeing customers reporting sort of 60-70% efficiency gains. So that's only become possible in the last 18 months or so. And as a result, I think there's been this massive sort of market uptick in wanting to adopt or at least explore AI technology. So we've been seeing some great traction, which I think previously legal tech companies struggled with.
Yeah.
As you say, my firm's actually been trialling it, which is interesting. We're very keen we've taken it super seriously. It is.
You've got to, haven't you?
Even if it's not quite ready, not your product generally, even if some of the AI products not quite ready yet, they're going to be really, really soon.
Yeah.
It moves so fast. So I think doing anything other than kind of embracing it really and working out, okay, what might the future business model look like? As you say, there's an incredibly important place for the attorney anyway. So with this kind of expert assistance and beyond possibly, would you call it expert model, expert assistance? Is that?
Yeah, it sounds reasonable. Yeah, I mean, it's basically, it has to be used by experts, and it's designed as an assistant for experts, so it makes complete sense.
Let's call it that. I think, you just have to take it super seriously. I've got one big techie US client saying we want to start rolling out, actually not drafting, but prosecution responses. Can you please use a couple of products and let us know?
Yeah.
And the obvious answer is yes, of course, we'd love to. We're nervous, but we've got to find these things out, which is why it's not so much scary, but it's change.
Yeah.
And the business has to adapt to change and use it, I think, and embrace it, frankly. So.
Yeah, I mean, what we see is that, a lot of people start adopting technology and they realise that far from, being worried about replacing the job and so on, it's automating the boring parts of the job. So spend lots of time focusing on things like, okay, how should we construct the claims, what should the scope be and so on, but then automating some of the parts like, okay, now we need to draft some paragraphs that add some support in the specification for those claims and integrate changes to the figures and so on. These sort of boring manual tasks you can replace with AI, and that's really where the power comes in.
Completely see that. And got your eye on any other areas of the IP world that need a bit of automation? There's a lot of boring stuff.
I mean, so what we're trying to build is basically the go-to platform for every aspect of the patenting process. So, right now we're helping out with the drafting and reviewing process. We've started building in more and more functionality around helping harvest inventions from inventors. So simplifying the process of, rather than giving a long invention disclosure form, having to take multiple weeks of back and forth to flesh out these invention disclosures from inventors, you can get AI to take in the stuff that the inventors already have, like manuscripts, transcripts, rough notes, diagrams, and so on. And AI can then fill out these invention disclosure forms. So basically making that process between the attorney and inventor much more seamless. And then, of course, over the next few months, we're going to be expanding into office actions and so on.
Okay. Well, at the risk side, the risk management side, 3 and 12 rate due diligence, is that a target eventually? Or?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have to say, we've really talked about the vast amount of existing data out there, and when you're given a complex product and a freedom to operate exercise, it's horrific, because as you know, any aspect of that less than 20 years old could be covered by a patent. And currently it's a pretty manual job. There's some good products out there for sure, but it's definitely not a push button answer to that. And I think sifting through data is where even the most reactionary patent attorney is going to agree that computers have got a bit of a lead on us there. So I think that's these areas that's all going to happen. It's exciting, but you have to embrace the change. And how's INTA going?
It's great. This is my first INTA. I've got some colleagues here who've been to it before, so it's been wonderful. We've met lots of interesting people. I mean, the thing about INTA is there's a lot of sort of organic meeting of people, lots of sort of receptions and so on. It's a very social event. So yeah, we've been having a great time and met a lot of people.
That's cool. Yes. This is our first.
It's our first INTA, yeah.
Well, I've done INTA once before, but we thought we'd podcasted this one. It's been fascinating. We definitely met some interesting people.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we didn't want to meet all of them.
yeah.
But they've been really interesting.
Met some not so interesting people as well, mate.
Yeah.
It's there's people who come out and just want to stuff business cards in you, regardless of who you are, and whether you are on the lookout for business cards.
Yeah.
How many patent firms are you working with?
We're selling into over 60 IP teams now,
Okay.
Across the US, Europe, South America, Asia, a whole bunch of different ones, some of the largest law firms, smaller boutiques, solo practitioners. So just basically everyone who drafts patents, that's kind of the key customer.
You seeing different kind of cultural approaches to your offering?
Yeah, I mean, well, so firstly, of course, all of these different jurisdictions, different fields of invention and so on, they all have their own drafting styles. So you have to build systems that can adapt to all of that stuff. So that's one thing. And then, of course, they all have, slightly different approaches in terms of what procurement and so on looks like. But overall, we're seeing, great enthusiasm for the adoption of the technology and, trying it out.
I think, if you press that button, all the reference numerals get done.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just going to have a cup of tea and celebrate immediately at that moment.
Yeah.
I hate reference numerals.
Why is that? Why?
Because I'm not very good at numbering, so I always duplicate them, and I've called two different components 208. Oh my god! And you got to work out which one you meant, and you got to insert them in the claims for the EPO and two-part form. That's got all this stuff that's got to happen. You're right. A lot of it is there's a moment of beauty when you write claim one, but almost everything else is a little bit mechanical sometimes.
Exactly.
You were saying that SEPA's been having internal lectures on claim drafting or something.
We did a little bit of staff training on it. Yeah, we it's a lovely little session. Chris Clark, member, comes in with these flying fish. They're helium-filled balloons. Yeah, and they've previously been litigated. So there's a bit of learning that we can do around them. But so effectively, the invention in them was a change in the propulsion system. Mm-hmm. So previously balloons had had propellers on them. And this works like a fish. Its tail fin sort of propels it. And also it's got a movable buoyancy aid. So on a rail, back to front, tilts it up, tilts it down.
Okay.
So you can kind of fly it around. It's a flying fish. You fly it around up there.
Yes.
Yeah. And we look at it. We try and work out what the inventions are in it. We draft claims. And then we talk a little bit about infringement and what it might mean in terms of if it were infringed, what would we do?
Yeah.
So just gets the stuff. It's 3 hours. Yeah. We're not patent attorneys at the end of it by any stretch of the imagination.
But having an insight into what you're doing, I think is really helpful. Actually, you don't need to do it anymore because you can just use this product, of course.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, we won't do it ever again now.
Last flying fish. That's it.
Chris, is there anything else you want to tell us? Is there anything you sat there thinking, why don't they ask me this?
Let me think. I think one of the things that's interesting is that we talk about automating the boring jobs and increasing efficiency and so on. And while that's all true, the thing that I think sometimes people miss until they start using these technologies is how much they can actually improve the overall quality of the application you're drafting and also of the service that you're giving to the client.
Yeah.
So if you're freeing up 50% of your time, it's not like you have to now not use that other 50%. You can actually spend that time really crafting, for example, the ideal claim one and thinking about the competitive landscape, all these kinds of questions, such that the quality of your application gets uplifted. And that's the kind of feedback we've been seeing. And so I think this thing that sometimes gets missed in the discussion of AI is how it can lead to these improved sort of customer experiences for the clients and also the overall output quality.
Yeah. So, Gwilym.
Yes.
I think we're kind of coming towards the end of the podcast.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it was a great one. Yeah, we do a closer thing, Chris. So I'm going to ask Gwilym a question now that he's not expecting, and then I'm going to ask it of you, and then he's going to trick me by asking me the same question. One day he's going to ask me a different one and really throw me.
I've never thought of that. Yeah, hit me.
So this is a piece of technological advancement that's going to change your life professionally. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What's the best other technological advancements that's ever changed your life? So what else has rocked your world, but in a really good way, technology-wise?
I wouldn't say life-changing, but it was actually the electronic tuners you get on the bass guitar.
Ah, okay.
Trying to tune a bass guitar by ear is practically impossible.
Is it?
Because it's kind of subsonic down the bottom.
Right.
So you just clip it
I've
on
seen
the
them,
end.
yeah.
You just clip it on the end. It's also a beautiful piece of design. It just looks great clipped to the end of your guitar, and it's got a little big old school kind of those 8-digit, and kind of the 8 shapes with different bits light up. And something about it, it's nicely made. It looks quite cool on the end of it. It's a tiny thing, but and also actually, if you, I'm a terrible musician. Don't get excited. I don't think anyone was. But also trying to tune up when it's noisy, you can't do it. So you could use it. And it's just a really simple little thing. It's
Cool.
brilliant.
I wasn't expecting that.
And you keep losing. Well, no, I normally have a stupid answer. That's actually not.
That's a really good answer. Yeah. Okay. Chris.
Yeah, I would say definitely, just mobile apps. That's just about old enough to hear internet revolution happen. I was too young to really remember not having internet everywhere. But, I could just about remember having flip-up phones, and then you had this wave of mobile smartphones, apps and so on, changed the whole world. You have all these huge companies being built on the back of that. And so the exciting thing about AI, and the reason I think about that is because this feels like the next wave of all these innovations, this new wave of companies coming off the back of that.
Lee. Yes.
Guess what? I've got a question for you.
Go on then. Far away, mate.
What technical innovations most changed your life?
So you'll remember I was fitting a bathroom for number 4 son.
We don't normally get plumber in twice.
I know, it's so cool, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah. So fitting a bathroom for number 4. And it just struck me how that job has changed. So I'm old enough as a plumber to predate battery operated tools.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
Particularly screwdrivers. And I remember, so my favourite screwdriver was a Yankee screwdriver, which is a push kind of ratchet thing.
Oh, I know the ones. Yes, yeah.
You don't see them anymore because they have no place in the world anymore, do they? Because
That's a shame.
Yeah. And I remember my first battery screwdriver. It was like, I don't have blisters in the palm of my hand.
Yeah.
Anymore. Yeah. So battery tools definitely.
I'm as you know, a handyman myself. I've made the odd flat back.
Have you?
Bookshelf, yeah, and even there, a power tool.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get Allen key wrist.
Yeah.
Well known
That's a thing. Yeah. Or very often it's thumb and finger because you use them so much that you end up with a bruised thumb and you don't really know why your thumb hurts. Good on, we're rambling. Chris, it's been
Really?
it's been lovely having you on.
Yeah,
thank you very much. Hope the rest of INTA goes really, really well for you. And we'll have to keep in touch, won't we? Because this isn't going to go away.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, here I am. Last day of INTA 2024. I've lost my co-host. I've lost my tech support. I'm all on my own, me and a roving microphone. So I think I'll go and take a walk around the INTA exhibition and see if I can't find a few interesting people to speak to, see how the event's gone for them. So let's see how this goes. On with the show. Hi, so it's Shannon, yeah?
Yep, Shannon Fitzpatrick from Questel.
So tell us a little bit about, let me see if I can pronounce it first as well. Questel, yeah? Questel. So tell us a wee bit about Questel, who you are, what you do.
So Questel is an IP services provider. To explain it in the most broad, very vague way, what we do is we work with law firms, corporations, and then we are kind of helping facilitate services for basically all entities of the IP world.
So, where are you based?
We are, Questel is a European company from Paris, and our U.S. headquarters is Alexandria, Virginia.
Okay, cool. Do you currently reach out to the UK, or is it somewhere that's target market?
Yep, we have an office in the UK as well. So we're up to, I believe, 20 plus offices around the world at this point.
Oh, cool. So that's it's quite a major operation then.
Right. Yes, it is. And it's nice because every country has their needs very different on like how the corporations use outside counsel and providers facilitate the outside counsel, what they want to do in-house. I notice the trends tend to be regional. So it's, a UK corporation operates very differently behind the scenes than like a US company, than, a company in Canada. They all have their own little niches, which is nice.
Cool. And you guys recognise that, and you work differently in different jurisdictions? We
do, yes. Yes, we do. And here at INTA, I would say kind of like the bread and butter of what grabs people attention is our do-it-yourself search and watch, like trademark search and watch platform called Markify. So that's what you see the lineups for the demos kind of continuously going. That is for law firms and corporates too. And the best on the market. It's really, really impressive. You can do logo searching, you can do design searching, you can do obviously the word searching, brand protection, but it's a really good price and it's very, very easy to use.
So I think I'm hearing that if our members are listening to this and they're in the lookout for something new, then...
Yep. And even on like a price conscious thing there, Markify is kind of the go-to if you want to just check out something and see what we do without feeling like you want to have some long conversation or get into a contract. I know, some of those are big projects, but Markify is a fun little way just to see what's out there, to test it. It's $89 for it's $89 for a common law. For a global search, it's $139. Up to 5 classes, knocks out everything. So it's a very, very good price point, and you can do it ad hoc pricing.
Cool. And can I ask how INTA's been going for you? How's your experience been here? Do you come every year? We've had a pandemic stopping things, haven't we? But do you usually come, and what do you get out of the gig?
Well, yeah, as we spoke before the microphone came out, I am brain dead, which means that it's been going well. We are busy, and I think that's good. I think that everyone we have been talking to is really interested in learning and changing and evolving their corporations. I think that we're seeing a lot of change within like corporate infrastructures, who's managing what in-house, what's happening. There's a lot of shifts with that. I think we'll see a lot more shifts coming this year. AI is always, the biggest buzzword of 2024. There's also within trademarks a huge push for brand protection, how we can do that now with AI in unison. So it's been a great event.
So I was going to finish on AI, so you've segued me quite nicely into my last question. Thank you for that. Because I've been hearing AI all around the place. We've recorded half a dozen podcasts, and it's probably come up in 3 or 4 of those. So how is AI changing what you do, and should IP professionals in the future be worried about their jobs?
So Markify, which I was saying, is a real trendsetter when it comes to AI. It's really honed in on how you can teach AI to grow. Should people be worried about their jobs? No. Anybody should be worried about their job if they're not, putting the effort into their jobs, to be frank. But no, I mean, AI is still as evolved as Markify gets, for example. Our attorneys and our law firm clients are still much needed to their corporations in order to provide the real on-hands analysis. So are people going to need to watch out and change the way that they're doing certain things? Yes. Do people need to be more effective with all the changes? Yes. So you should utilize AI to take off some of the task work, I think, and I think that we'll start to see a lot more of that for just like some of the things that are tedious and take up time. But AI takes all of that stuff off our plates a little bit right now so that you can focus more on the bigger problems at hand, which is going to be why I said that there's a lot of talk about brand protection, how we're doing that, how people are, going to go about that. Things are changing there. It's a very important need, even for the smaller clients now.
So I think what I heard there is that AI is the up-and-coming tool for the future professional and not something that professionals should be worried about other than their own ability to go with it.
Right. And, I'm only looking into the next 5 years when I'm talking about that, but I think that the more that you can kind of use it to help you and not be scared of it, then you're ahead of the curve and you're just riding the wave with it versus trying to swim against the current.
Shannon, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy exhibition schedule here and speaking to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lee. It was nice to talk to you.
Hello, so I know you're Debbie, but no one else knows who you are on this podcast at the moment. So Debbie, who are you? What do you do?
So I'm Debbie Welch. I'm the Senior Vice President of Sun IP. We're a firm based out in Philadelphia in the US, but also with another location in the UK. We're a service provider looking after patents and trademarks, but I'm here at INTA today, trademark focused.
Trademark focused. But that doesn't matter for the purposes of what I'm doing, because, of course, SEPA's members also have a trademark footprint, so they're going to be really interested in what you guys do. So in as many words as you care, really, tell us what it is that Sun IP does.
So Sun IP, we are foreign filing specialists, so PCT national phase, EP validations, we do translations as well. So we've been going for about 7 years, but all of us have a background in IP. So I've had a close relationship with SEPA for over 10 years now, back in the day through my various positions that I've held. But Sun IP, we work everywhere. Anything related to administration, patent prosecution, renewals, that's the big new part for us. Just trying to help everybody and be an extension of their team on those kind of more mundane admin tasks, and just helping to support those paralegals as well.
It's really good that you've touched on paralegals, because something quite big that we've been doing at SEPA recently is, well, we've introduced and revamped our IP paralegal qualification. We now have over 500 IP paralegal members, so they're a growing community, and it's great that they can get support from organisations like you. But tell me a little bit about, perhaps, can you do a bit of crystal ball gazing and tell me what the future might look like? Because we know we've got AI coming down the track. We know technology is sort of changing our world. What might you think is around the corner?
Well, AI is going to change everything in certain areas. Like translations, we're definitely going to see that change. We're starting to see that with ChatGPT now, and how people are using translations. With the UP coming out, and that's changed the way that people are thinking of translations as well. So definitely AI is going to have an impact. I think people who are drafting may be looking at like the claims now. There's a lot of scope for that as well, using AI and more automation. However, we believe that quality and people are still really important to the whole IP community, whether that's from like senior partner level right the way down, to paralegals who have a vital role in everything that we do. So what the next layer is going to be is all about innovation in the platforms that we offer, integration in what we can do with each other. No more siloed offerings, just basically bringing everything together so everybody has everything in one place. And that's where I feel really passionate about. So the Sun IP platform is built by us, but with everybody in mind. We use focus groups of paralegals, of partners throughout the world to determine how we build our next generation of products.
So you make it sound really exciting, but I also know that people are nervous about the future. People are starting to think, is it going to take away my job or bits of my job? What will the profession look like in the future? And one of the other concerns I hear is about the security of data once you get into the kind of generative AI. So thoughts maybe on what work might look like in the future, and whether people should be nervous around things like data security?
I don't think people should be nervous at all. I think there will always be a need for human interaction when doing anything in IP. Technology helps assist us. It doesn't replace us, and I think that's what everyone needs to remember. The way that AI generates, is great and it's innovative, but it's people that understand the syntax, the understanding of how we phrase things. I was talking with my colleagues the other day, the way that we speak English, the way that we write English, and the way that we actually write legal English are three very different things. And how can a bot understand that unless you program that? So, and you've got to remember, AI is generated by us. So without us, how does it learn?
Oh, I like the AI is generated by us point. So the professional of the future is just more technologically enabled rather than replaced, I think is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. Technology has a role to play. It has done for years. And I remember when I first started back in IP, the web was still fairly new. That makes me sound really old. But equally, it's really important that we look at how far we've come in like the last 10, 12, 15 years. The products that are available now and the platforms that are available now, we had none of that 10, 12 years ago. And yes, we will continue to evolve. But if you look at the industry, and I look around us at INTA here today, 9,000 people wanting to talk to each other, wanting to get face-to-face with each other, you can't replace that with technology.
And I'll tell you what, from my experience, the app hasn't replaced proper networking because, the app has some limited functions when it comes to getting to know people, doesn't it? And when you get face-to-face, the whole world changes. Thank you so much for your time, but before I let you go, can you just kind of sum up your INTA experience? How's it been?
INTA this year has been fantastic. I think it's the first INTA post-COVID where we've really kind of got back to what it was like pre-COVID. Fantastic communications, great discussions. The seminars have actually been really, really well thought out. Lots of good, really, really exciting subjects, not just for the now and what the challenges we face day to day, but things into the future. Certainly lots to think about. And actually, I feel that's the theme of most conferences this year. Really starting to get back to normal. So looking forward to SEPA coming up in the future.
Yeah, I was going to conclude by saying that. Thank you for taking time out of your exhibition time to chat with me, but also thanks for the support that you give to SEPA, and we're really looking forward to seeing you at Congress.
So I don't know whether you're listening to this podcast because you're at INTA and you're listening to it for the first time, or whether you're one of our seasoned listeners, but however you've come to the podcast, if you've liked it, if you've enjoyed it, then leave us a review on your platform of choice, because then we can extend our listenership.
That's exactly how the Beatles broke America.
Was it?
Yeah, just it was all about reviews
Are you John and my Yoko?
Yes.
Perfect.